Can you help me out with some band history? I believe you formed in late 2012, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Tell me how it all happened.
Yeah. All right. Well, obviously the bass player Abby's my little sister, so I forced her to play the bass in one of my old all-girl bands. We just lost our bass player. She moved to Melbourne, actually. A lot of Perthians moved to Melbourne. And we lost her, and we had about 5 or 6 shows booked to play. Abby didn't even know how to play bass at that stage. And I said, we really need someone. Just learn the bass. Here's a bass guitar. And she learnt, 10 tracks in a week and was up and playing shows, without even knowing what she was doing. And then obviously she's improved so much from there. And then we lost a guitarist in that band as well. She relocated to Melbourne as well. So
what was the name? What was the name of that band?
It was called the Surefire Midnight. So they're actually Melbourne-based now. So they play around. So we lost a guitarist as well, and so we found Laura, and another girl came in and started playing for us as well. And we formed Legs Electric because we loved the Surefire is a very AC/DC influenced, and that real Aussie pub rock. And we've, like, Abby and Laura and I have a lot of other influences, and we wanted to kind of have more creative control on writing our own thing. And we always wanted to kind of do something a little bit different, and that's kind of how Legs Electric was formed. I lived with Laura at the time as well, and we didn't have any furniture. All we did was jam in the lounge room with the drum kit and guitar and all the amps, and we wrote all the time, but all the stuff we were writing wasn't really for the other band. And so we decided, look, let's do our own thing, let's get out there and do our own thing. And I met Ama actually singing she was singing in a rock and roll bar, singing AC/DC actually. And I went up to her and said, you're going to come and sing in my original band one day. And she was playing in the cover scene back then, and didn't have a lot of time on her hands, but I stalked her for 6 months and finally got her to come over to mine and Laura's. Had a jam, and she was absolutely sold, and obviously Abby was in it from the beginning. So
what's Laura's history? I can hear that she's quite an accomplished player who has an amazing guitar tone.
Yeah, well, she's obviously, her dad plays guitar as well. Her family are very musical, so she's the baby of the band, so she's only 24. So she's been brought up with a lot of 80s kind of Kiss, Eddie Van Halen.
80s Kiss, Judas, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Judas, all Kiss. She's an absolutely Kiss fanatic.
Right.
Judas Priest, AC/DC. So I guess she's very influenced by that style. She has a 1978 Gibson head and real vintage kind of gear. So she just loves it, rock and roll. It's in her blood.
What about yourself? What kind of stuff were you raised on? I can hear some Zepp influences in there. Some of those
that's
tracks.
me. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
My dad was from London, so I grew up with Pink Floyd, Jethro Tull, Led Zeppelin, the Grateful Dead. Grand Funk Railroad. My sister's a huge Neil Young fan. Like, she absolutely loves him. And Ama is she loves, Whitesnake, but she loves, Grand Funk Railroad and stuff like that. So we're all kind of stuck in that 70s, 80s era still.
Nothing wrong with that. And that's one of the reasons
nothing wrong with that.
I just think it's refreshing to see a young band who's into that kind of stuff, which is normal for a lot of us. But so, and you actually, talking of 70s rock, you supported Uriah Heep back in March. That would have been cool.
Right.
Did you meet Mick Box?
We did. It was quite funny. We were playing that show. We had to, as soon as we finished playing, we had to get our gear off the stage, and they wanted us to take it off the stage, but all the crowd was there, obviously. So we found a little trapdoor on the side, and we were kind of loading our gear out on the street, and Uriah Heep were actually down there. That was their rehearsal room, so they were watching us load our gear out, and we got to meet them. They're absolutely lovely, and they loved what they heard. They really loved it. It brought them back, they said, which is awesome. They're absolute, legends. So fantastic show.
And last year you released a 5-track EP titled Maximum Rock and Roll, and I presume that those tracks were being played in your live set and you had them pretty much finished, or did you have to come up with something in the studio?
No. Basically, the way we wrote our EP was Illicit Love. I actually wrote that riff, and Laura and I worked on that together. And that was the first song we ever wrote as a band. So the EP is kind of like a mini history of, how our writing progress. Temporary Road, that was the next one, and Ama wrote that. Trigger took us, over 9 months to write that. That was one of our epics. And then the whole CD is just like a bibliography of our writing. Like every song is categorized of exactly the time we wrote it. So, yeah.
You're a mind reader, because we're going to air Trigger in a moment. What we might do, we'll play a tune and then we'll look over some of your upcoming gig dates. And so Trigger, which you just mentioned, is lifted off the aforementioned Maximum RocknRoll EP. Love this. I mean, there's some really sharp lead guitar at the end of the tune, which I think everyone needs to listen out for.
It's a beautiful guitar solo, yeah.
Oh, it's great. Can I get you to intro that with a little background about the song? So you mentioned 9 months in the works, and it was a collaborative effort between the four of you? Or?
Yeah, it was. All our songs, we write them together. That's the good thing about Legs Electric, I guess. We all want to be part of the writing sessions. We all write our own parts. We give all of us ideas. Ama actually wrote the song based on, it might sound a little lame, but it's based on, like toxic relationships and having that power to kind of stand above that and go your own way and, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it's a little bit of, I guess, girl power in that song.
Great.
So,